Hi there, welcome to my podcast. This is episode 16, and this podcast is primarily about my knitting projects and my horsemanship journey with my two horses, Odin and Bragi, the Mustangs. Looks like I have some sunshine coming in, which is not a bad thing. But anyway, the Odin and Bragi are Mustangs that I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse Adoption Program. And I put a link in my show notes if you are interested in that program. My name is Corrina, and I live in the northwest part of the United States with my partner, my two kitties, and the two horses I mentioned. I'm recording on October 16th, 2022. The weather is definitely turning towards fall temperature-wise. It's getting cooler. But we're still in a drought. We haven't had any rain since the beginning of July, and it's been quite smoky for at least a month. I would say probably 5 or 6 weeks now, because we have a lot of wildfires in the area. Fingers crossed that we will get some rain toward the end of this week. So just starting with the knitting, I'll talk about horsemanship later in my episode, in case you're not particularly interested in horsemanship. But I do invite you to bring your project, bring your beverage of choice, and sit back and enjoy and work on any handy work that you might have with you. So generally what I do is I start with an old finished object, keep my notes up so I keep on track. Oh, sorry about the sunshine. So this, what I'm wearing, is called the Carbeth cardigan. It is made with 2 strands of this yarn that's held together, and it's a tweedy style yarn. I'm wondering, I can't remember what yarn exactly I used, but it's a Brooklyn, might be Brooklyn tweed. But it has a folded over collar. That was the first time, and probably the only time I've ever done that. I really kind of worried about it for a while, but it was fine once I kind of got over my nerves. So I'm pretty sure this was top down. Could have been bottom up. You can see that there's quite a bit of ribbing on the sleeves, and they're not quite all the way down to my wrists. So this is one that I wear quite a lot in the wintertime. I love this color. I love the little metal buttons that I found for it. So let me button that up. I'm gonna show you. So, and it's a little bit kind of on the cropped side. So you can see it just falls like right below my natural waist. So, wear this to work a lot in the office, and it's a nice thing to wear against the air conditioning in the office. Not that I'm opposed to air conditioning, but it always seems a little bit cooler than I would prefer. I wish I had could show you a newly finished project, but I don't have any right now. So I have 3 whips. These are probably the same whips that I was showing you last time. 2 of them are garments, and one of them is a sock. So I have lots of acquisitions, and I have lots of plans to cast on. So, but first I'll show you one of my whips. This is the Lola Sweater by Kutovakika. It's a top-down, like a tank top. It's a summer top, which, I'm rapidly running out of summer. But what I'm planning to do is have this finished for the trip that we will take to Texas in the summer. So this is the front. It kind of goes up high in the front across the collarbones, and then this is a cotton yarn. It's repurposed, so from a striped sweater I crocheted many years ago before I started knitting, and I didn't like it, so I ripped it out, but I have all these lots of ends, so I'm trying to weave in as I go, and hopefully just have a minor amount of darning them in. So once you join together, so it starts with the front top down, and then the back top down, and then you join the two together and add some cast on stitches further underneath the arms. And once you do that, you have this repeat pattern of, it's a 6-row repeat, and it's 11 rows, and I think I'm almost done with repeat 7, so then I will have 4 more after this, and then I'll have to read the directions. So oops, didn't have this quite secure on my needles. So let me show you this is a paid for pattern, but this is what it looks like modeled by the designer herself. So cotton yarn's really nice to work with, a great summery fabric. So it's kind of dense. It called for holding the two strands together, which I started that and I didn't like it, so I'm just doing single strand, and it's still, fabric's still quite dense. The other one I've been working on for a long time is the Ghost Horses by just based on her name. She's a designer out of Oregon. I'll show you the pattern here in a second, so I can tell you what it is. Caitlin Hunter is, and I think she goes by Boyland Knits. So here it is. Here's the yoke. Here's the horses galloping across the yoke. And this has, right now in the color work section, it's a repeat of 18 rows that you do 3 or more times. I have done one of the repeats after I separated from the sleeves. You might remember this one I had to rip back and make the yoke longer, so this is where the yoke originally was. I don't know if you can see that red yarn that's in there, but then I made it that much longer, so hopefully I think that will fit me better. And then yeah, so I kind of expect I'll do 4 repeats of the body section. I just like my sweaters a little bit longer. I mean, I guess I don't really find a lot of value in a cropped sweater if I'm trying to use it for warmth. So, but I'll see. And also it depends on how much yarn I have left. So I've been working on this for a long time. I've started over, I think this is the 3rd time, and the first 2 times I used yarn that there wasn't enough difference between the contrast colors, so that's a problem, lesson learned. And then of course I had to, rip back to make the yoke bigger before I separated for sleeves. So that was a little discouraging, so it had a long time out, but I'm back on it, hope to have it done maybe by Christmas, we'll see. The 3rd thing I have on my needles is the Sockoween. So this is the Halloween sock knit along, hosted by the Bakery Bears. So this is some yarn I asked to be dyed sort of in the spirit of Great Pumpkin, so with orange and black and yellow and green. I used purple for a contrast color just for heels. And at first, when I first started knitting this, I was like, wow, that's awfully busy. And it is awfully busy. But, I kind of like the way that the foot is turning out, at least this bottom part. I like that striping. I think these are going to be fun socks. I'm on the foot, so top down, heel flap and gusset. So I got kind of enthusiastic about starting the heel flap, and I forgot to add my color until I was about 12 rows in on that. I'm doing the 70 stitches around, and this is it's kind of a, it kind of looks cabled, but it's not really. It's just a matter of moving knit 2 together and yarn overs around. So this pattern is called Almondine, and it's out of a book, an Ann Budd book called Masterclass. So, I'll show you what the socks are supposed to look like. This is a fun pattern. It's a 16 row, the pattern is 16 rows, and here is what the socks look like. Hopefully, again, looks like the sun is kind of interfering with my light today, but I think I am going to knit these again because, like I said, I really like them. They're a nice kind of long sock pattern. So, and I have a ton of sock yarn. So I will get to that. I was trying to go on a yarn diet, but that's kind of not happening right now. I just have signed up for all these newsletters, and then I see this really cool yarn that I have to have. So I'm going to have to stop eventually. And then I added a section, ripped out to start over. So I think I started this segment last weekend when I was working on a pair of socks, and they just ended up being too big. So I had one whole sock already knitted, and another one started. And it's like, I don't want this, so I ripped it out. It's a cool green speckled yarn, kind of a light green with a kind of a solid green contrast color for heels and cuffs and toes. So it'll be more of a springtime knit. Anyway, so the next project I need to rip out somewhat is, I don't know if you remember the Raglan. It was kind of choose your own adventure Raglan pattern that I got from, let me see if I put it in my notes here. No, I don't see it, but it was a website that I got the pattern from, and it basically takes your measurements and gives you the numbers and your gauge and the weight of yarn you're going to use, and gives you a basic pattern on how to do a top-down Raglan sweater. So I made the sweater out of a DK cake yarn, which is a Lions brand yarn, and I was playing yarn chicken, so instead of full sleeves, I decided to do 3/4 sleeves. But what I did not account for is that that the cuff would be smaller around my wrist than it would be where I actually stopped. So they're a little tight here. So I think I'm going to rip out the cuff, at least do part of the arm where it feels comfortable, and just knit that over, because I have enough yarn to do that for both sleeves. So I'll let you know when I do that. So just updating my note here so I don't forget. I have a pile of patterns that I plan to cast on. It's nuts. So let's see here. The next one I plan to cast on is Lovenote by TinCan Knits, and this is a hold yarn together with a fingering weight yarn with a mohair. So these are the colors that I have that I plan to knit. This is hand-dyed yarn, organic single fingering yarn from Salt and Color hand-dyed yarn. I've mentioned this place before. This is a yarn store and cocktail lounge called Skein Tipple on Whidbey Island. Here is the pattern. This is a paid-for pattern. So, and one thing I do know, it has a provisional cast on. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or just kind of knit just top down. So I'll see if I can figure that out. So that's number 1 on my list. Number 2, I don't know. That's number 1 on my list. Where it goes from here, I can't guarantee. I've had this pattern for a long time. It's kind of a classic vintage style. I think this was a free pattern, if I remember right. It's called Riverside Pullover, Sophia Loren Riverside Pullover. And it is knit in a worsted weight yarn. And I got this rustic yarn from a local sheep farmer that we buy lamb from, meat in other words. And I bought this yarn from her, this kind of chocolate brown, and this Sophia Loren Riverside pattern calls for 3 colors. So I had some leftover yarn from a sweater I haven't shown you yet, a cardigan, so it's going to be this brown, this red, and then the gray. The red is, okay, it's Patton's classic wool, so I probably just picked that off the shelf because I like the color. And then this gray, also Patton's worsted classic wool. So these 3 colors together to make that sweater with this chocolate brown being the main color. So looking forward to doing that. I've had that pattern for a really long time. Sorry for the crinkling. That chocolate brown yarn I just got last summer or this summer. I can't remember when we picked up the lamb. Might have been this summer. And I bought a sweater's worth not really knowing what I wanted to do with it. I also bought some in a neutral colors. So that's undyed yarn and in a kind of a cream color. I don't think there was enough for this particular pattern though, so I'll save that cream color for something else. Here's another one that I mentioned before. This is the Owl Cowl. This is a free pattern by the Bakery Bears. Where's the picture? Let's see the picture. Oh, here it is. So this takes 6 minis with a skein of mane color. So this is yarn I bought in Anacortes over the summer at a local yarn shop. So what I have is this kind of rust-colored main color and then the 6 minis. So I love wearing cowls in the wintertime, in the fall and the spring. So that's another future cast on. I don't know, maybe after I get ghost horses done. I haven't quite figured out which order I'm going to do things, as I keep saying. What else do I have here? Sorry, reaching. This is a fingering weight yarn that I got from Nativity. This is a Corriedale, 75% Corriedale, 25% nylon in this pretty blue. I bought a twin set. It's hand-dyed yarn. The link is in my show notes. And I want to make a shawl. This is a shawl I have made before. It is called, what is it called? It's a lace, oh okay, here we go, the Holden Shawlette. So I have this, so you can see the pattern, in a darker color, a darker blue variegated yarn. I had a little trouble with the pattern. This is by Mindy Wilkes, mostly because I was a new beginner knitter. But I'm looking forward to having it in this light blue color. I also have another skein of this, so I can make a matching pair of socks if I want. So I'm not sure when I'm going to cast that on, but that is on my list for the future. And what do I have here? Oh, okay, I think I showed this recently. This was a free pair of socks, winter's gift. This is a Knitpicks free pattern. So you can see that it's a dark color with a pattern in the light color, you know, some color work. My plan is to knit this actually kind of opposite. So this is West Yorkshire Spinner yarn that I got on sale. So I plan on doing the dark color on the bottom and the light color on top. We'll see how that works when I do the color work, because it's really easy to get confused on a chart. if you're doing the opposite, I have made that mistake before and ended up going back to the way chart suggested, so it wouldn't, it's not quite as much thinking for me. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh yes, okay. Another cast on. I think I showed this when I was showing my new yarn. So this is a Barocco called Westland. The yarn is Arno. So I had a whole bunch of black Arno for another sweater that I started that I ended up not liking knitting. So decided to do the smart thing and start over. So these are my two colors, so this green and black. So the green's going to be the contrast color with the black as the main color. I think that'll be really pretty. And then finally, I think, as far as like kind of yarn that I have a pattern for and enough yarn for, is this. This is a free pattern from Barocco. It's called Crossvine. You can see it's a cabled pattern. And this is a kind of a chunky or Aran weight, and this is this color, this kind of dark green. And I bought this yarn in Wisconsin at Utopia, E-W-E Topia. Yeah, this is ultra alpaca chunky. So those are my projects. So you know, right now I am knitting first thing in the morning before I go to work, and I typically knit on the Lola top. And then during the day, if I have a break or maybe a Zoom meeting that I can knit during, I knit on the socks, and then in the evening I knit on the ghost horses. So that's my knitting plan. I mean, I think that ends up being maybe 3 hours of knitting a day, which seems like a lot, but it's actually, it just takes a long time, especially when you're knitting sweaters. So, I don't know, it's always fun to have more projects than it is time, I think. I have plenty of yarn that I'm still trying to figure out what to do with. One of the things that I would like to do is try brioche sometimes. So when I see a brioche pattern, I've tried brioche before. It didn't turn out great, so I'm doing something wrong, but I'm hoping that now that I've started knitting left-handed, that'll be a little bit easier. We'll see. I don't know if I can really explain my thinking, but that is what I'm thinking. So acquisitions, I have been going nuts with acquisitions. Well, first of all, let me just show you this free pattern from Barocco. So End Grove Sweater. I'm happy to say I don't have yarn for it yet. It's a worsted weight. I don't think I have enough yarn in my stash that doesn't have a job already for that. So that'll just hang out. The recommended yarn is Barocco Lanus. So I may just wait. I've seen that in the store. It's nice yarn. So I'll probably just wait. The other thing that I got was this ebook of patterns from Veronica Lindbergh, Kutovakika. She has a podcast. So a lot of cardigans and sweaters. So you can see I have lots of sticky notes she does have a brioche section, so I may do a brioche sweater from her collection. Let's see, what else have I done? I didn't think I was going to like her style as much, but I actually really like it. So she has this honey cardigan that I think is really pretty. It's cropped. I would probably make it a little bit longer, a couple inches longer. I mean, again, to me, the whole purpose of having a cardigan is for warmth, and I would want the gap between my waistband and the bottom edging to be closed, overlapping. This ivy sweater, this is really pretty. I think she uses a lot of mohair, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see how I feel about mohair. So some people find it itchy. She has some sock patterns in here, some mittens, which I like to, yes. Here is the brioche sweater that I may knit. I have some sport weight yarn. Let's see what this yarn is. Yarn. She used an alpaca. I'm not sure. I'll have to do a gauge swatch just to see. And she has some color work in here, and a brioche scarf, so it'd probably be wise if I did the brioche scarf. And then there's this cool sweater that she made for her husband, this color work sweater. I don't know if you can see that, it has a lot of skulls on it. So Randy may get a sweater like that someday. So I think he would like the skulls. And then more mittens, and then there's a V-neck sweater that I'm a little bit intrigued about, but I have to admit, V-neck's not my preferred style. I do have one V-neck sweater that I knit a couple years ago that I'll show you one of these days when I'm showing you what my old finished object. I like it. It's okay. But I tend to prefer crew necks or turtlenecks. So, acquisitions. This is ridiculous. So I signed up for Freckled Whimsies Yarn of the Month Club, and then as a new member, she gave me a discount. So I bought these 5 minis that I don't know what I'm going to do with. Could be a hat. Could be just contrast color for socks. No idea what I'm going to do with these, but they were just pretty. They're colors that I like, so I bought them. I couldn't really explain what all the yarn buying is about currently. I just ordered Legacy Fiber Arts just released their old cider mill colorway. It's such a pretty fall color that, of course, I had to order some. And then Knittivity just had a sale on some yarn, sock yarn, colors I like. So there's this kind of rose colored. These don't have names, they have numbers. This yarn always smells so good. And then there's this kind of, I don't know, I call this chocolate strawberry ice cream. That's what I would call her. You know, vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce and strawberry sauce on it. And then there's this color. So, I mean, what's not to like? All the colors that I like. Just this kind of interesting brown stripe in here that I think is really pretty. So, that's what I've been up to lately. Buying too much yarn. I don't have any other yarn buying trips planned. I bought a pattern recently too, because Rhinebeck's going on. I don't know that much about yarn festivals or knitting festivals because I've never been to one, but there's a lot of makers, designers, yarn dyers that are having sales. And in fact, I think the Legacy Fiber Arts, their old cider mill sale is because of Rhinebeck. And then there's a designer here in the Seattle area. She just released a cowl pattern that's called Cryptids, and it has Sasquatch, and I think the Loch Ness Monster, and something else, I can't remember, but I just bought that pattern. She offered that for 40% off, so like it's free, so you know, not really, but yeah, 40% off is such a significant discount. All right, so what else have been up to? Gardening. So the tomatoes keep coming off because the weather's been so warm. We haven't had a freeze yet. And zucchini, it's really slowing down. The dahlias are beautiful, sunflowers are beautiful, chives, and sedum flowers, and I've had some little cabbage too. So trying to plan for a winter garden, so I'm kind of planning on an indoor herb garden, or maybe one that I can put in containers and baskets, so I can move it outside to a sunny spot during the day, and then keep it indoors. So I found online a way to, I think it was Better Homes and Gardens idea, a way to grow herbs in quart mason jars. You put some gravel on the bottom so that there is some drainage, and then fill it with potting soil and put your herb seeds in. So that's what I'm hoping to do. We'll see. I have the soil. I ordered seeds and that drain rock. I think I just got some like fishbowl rock for that. Yeah, so I'll let you know how that goes. I did plant some greens outside. I need to do, it's really a transition time, so I need to clean out parts of my garden and plant more winter type greens. So, and I've been watching Grow Veg on YouTube for inspiration on that. Cookie projects. So I made German Spritz cookies. Those are delicious butter cookies. Found out that I even used a piping thing that I borrowed from a friend, hoping to make the like fancy swirls and stuff like that. Well, it was comically hard to do. I've never done that before. And then, they went in the oven, and there's just so much butter in these cookies, they just kind of all flattened out. So, well, nice idea. But I got the suggestion, I think from my mom, that just adding like maybe a quarter cup of flour to give it more structure. And there's plenty of butter. I mean, it's like it's 2 sticks of butter. So, whatever that is. Is that a cup? That might be a whole cup. Yeah, so the recipe's really simple. A tablespoon of cream, vanilla, an egg, and sugar. I don't remember what the quantities are, but yeah. So the dough's pretty soft. So, another suggestion I got from my sister was to chill it. So adding extra flour and chilling it probably helped those cookies stand up better. It's not going to make going the piping any easier, but so I think I'm going to skip that and just decorate with sugar, and maybe also some or a really dark chocolate frosting on part of it. I think that would be really tasty. I made corn and zucchini tacos last Saturday that were really tasty. So basically, I kind of charred the corn a little bit. You can do it on the grill if you want to. I didn't do that. I just cut the kernels off the cob and stuck it in the oven for a while and roasted it. Very tasty. So just kind of typical. Add a little chili powder mix to the zucchini and the corn, and then put some. You can use. I use a little teeny street taco tortillas. You can put sour cream or the white Mexican cheese. That's a lot like Parmesan, and some cilantro, of course, and it's very tasty. I started a Mexican meatball soup called albondiga, I think, and this is inspired by an article I read about Linda Ronstadt, who you might know has Mexican heritage, and she had her family recipe for the meatballs. The soup part seemed a little plain, so I looked up another recipe, and I will add some of the ingredients from the other recipes. I'll let you know how that goes. Oh, and finally, horses. So I have been volunteering for a pony club group at Warm Beach Christian Camp over in Stanwood, and it's been really fun. I get lots of ideas for things to do with my own horses, so I volunteer for 2 lessons. The girls there's a group of younger girls who are less advanced, and then the more advanced girls. So they're still in the same level, which I think is the D level. So it starts, Pony Club was started in Great Britain, I don't know how many years ago, long time ago. But it's unrated, and then once you have some skills, you can be a D level, and I think there's 1, 2, and 3 in each level, each letter level, and then it goes all the way up to A. So the girls in the first group are D1, I think, and then the girls in the second group are some are D2 and D3. So yeah, very skilled, lots of fun to do, and gives me inspiration for my own writing. So I have been, and plus it's been so smoky that we've been having to do kind of low energy lessons. So yesterday it was so smoky that the girls could only really walk and do maybe a little bit of trot exercises. So the instructor had them do bareback, which I love riding bareback. So when I got home, I set up some poles in my round pen and did a few drills over poles and did lots of circles and stuff like that. So that was really fun. And then I thought, well, maybe I would try introducing the bareback pad to Bragi. And he has seen it before. I mean, he's had it on his back uncinched. Nothing like that bothers him. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try cinching it up. Well, he wasn't ready for that. Let me just put it that way. I mean, he bucked around the round pen for probably a full minute. So, but he came back to me, and which is good. That's what you want. You want them to come back to you, look to you for help. So I got it loosened and took it off. He was obviously very afraid by it, which is understandable. I mean, it's it grips around the middle, and horses are very sensitive to that. They're prey animals, so anything that grips them that tight can be alarming to them. So I talked to my trainer this morning, and she's going to help me with him, maybe see what steps I might have skipped or probably skipped. So I've got some intermediate homework to do in the meantime, so I'll probably work on that today a little bit. The smoke's starting to descend again, so whatever we do will be pretty low-key and just short session. So that is all I have today. I've been going on for about 38 minutes. I will include, I think, at the end of this video, a clip from me writing Odin in the round pen yesterday. So enjoy, and thanks for being here with me. And if you like it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Super good. Super good. There you go. Down here. There you go. Okay.
Take a look. Take a look. Okay.
go. Good job. That's good. Good work. All right. Come on. Very trotting a little bit. Good job. A couple laps in each direction. What do you think? Okay, work on. There you go. Here, Rod. Walk. Walk on. Come on. Okay, ready? And walk on. Good boy. Room. Good boy. All right, keep going. Get it all out. All done? Okay. Here, Rod. Come on. And walk on. You got good brakes, don't you? Good work.